This show will mostly be off cuts.
We have to go straight to Newcastle United, Peter, because there are big reports.
Because we've talked about the Europa League final quite a lot already.
Big reports that Mike Ashley has already agreed to sell the club to Sheikh Khalid, who is the cousin of Man City owner Sheikh Mansour, member of the Abu Dhabi royal family. The figure being banded around is £350 million.
So the latest on this is that the Newcastle United have confirmed takeover talks, but they've recently released a statement, as in the last few minutes, saying the sale remains, in quotes, some way off.
Yeah.
So I just want to give him a little update before he
is
does
it
his
fair
inevitable.
to say we've been here before?
I don't know. I think this one has a little bit more legs, maybe.
No, I think it has more legs because it came out at about 11 o'clock last night on a bank holiday weekend where, let's face it, a lot of the journals who should be covering this are a little bit worse aware.
Yeah.
And everyone was caught with their trousers
They
down
might have
going, I don't know what's
disgraced a few
happening on.
fireplaces.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I'll have a look at this tomorrow, etc., etc. So there's a lot of the North East-based journalists going, I haven't got a bloody clue.
Sheikh Khalid did attempt a Liverpool takeover, was it last year, but failed, but then didn't...
That was $2 billion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a
Massive.
very,
It's a lot
very
of money.
large
It's a
amount
lot
of
more money than what you'd be looking at for Newcastle.
Surely Ashley would be holding out for $2 billion though.
Who was the party that previously tried to, or were in...
Stavely and all those.
Yes,
ones,
didn't they
Stavely,
try
Kenyon
and...
and all those.
But Amanda Stavely is just a go-between for
She's a
different.
broker almost.
Wasn't she involved in a potential takeover for Liverpool as well?
Correct, yeah.
Hang on a minute.
Look,
This is a pattern here.
we've seen this before. It
Ah.
probably won't happen.
Pete, what have we got to do in this studio now to get you to engage with this and take it slightly seriously?
Yeah, but even if I do engage in it and I do take it seriously, do I really want my club run, owned by a state-run entity? I mean, I can't really criticize. Like, literally about 4 days ago, I was in here criticising Baku, hosting criticising Manchester City.
Yeah. Oh, no, you won't be welcome at the stadium if they turn up, and that's, I would say, to your credit.
But I mean, it is an interesting sort of thing. Like, it is a bit slightly bittersweet. I want Mike Ashley out of the club, who, to be honest, has some terrible working practice records of his own. Let's say.
Yeah, but when compared,
when compared to the state of UAE and Dubai and stuff like that, it's more problematic. But like, people criticise Manchester City for being for gaming the system, but they don't necessarily criticise them for using money that is obviously made through more foul means than fair.
You're just jealous, mate.
And
You're
modern
just jealous.
football is a place where you launder your reputation, if not actual money. You launder your reputation and have something to talk about on the yachts of wherever you take your yacht nowadays.
It's a soft power diplomat kind of thing in place.
Massively.
But
So it's not. So for me, if it comes to the point where Mike Ashley does leave the club and
You'll
someone
miss
like
him.
that takes over, it is a bit of a bittersweet pill because at the end of the day, that money's come from dreadful places, and I've got to kind of tally what goes on the field and support the team. Can a chairman truly take away a football club from somebody's heart? We'll see.
Yeah, they'll give it a good go.
We'll see.
The Man City chap was saying that everyone's just jealous when they talk about FFP and all that kind of
Well,
stuff.
I mean, they come out
I mean, they
fighting
are.
regularly, don't they? Because they never really actually deny anything.
No.
They
He
just
said
attack the people making the accusations.
Yeah.
He said this morning that if you look at the top 10 most expensive transfers, none of them are Man City players, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well, yeah, but
I know that's not a defence. I'm just saying it's quite an interesting piece of trivia. But on the Newcastle thing, I've got a couple of tweets here from Newcastle United fans who are being as measured as you are, Pete, I would say. One here, have we bought Mbappe yet? Another one, which is my personal favourite, from Mart, who says, if the NUFC takeover is true, I would sell Longstaff to Man United for £25 million. Then I'd immediately buy him back for £100 million just to send a message.
A statement
Is
of
that
intent.
Mark Poom?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not,
That's a
sadly.
shame. So I understand. I completely agree, actually, with what you said about that particular...
It's not a romantic story, is it?
No, it isn't.
It's not a romantic
so
takeover.
in an ideal world, who would you want to buy? Bill Gates?
Someone who's literally not making their money from modern slavery and
So Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah,
Big Bill.
all right, Bill Gates, Big Bill.
Big Bill. Big Billy style.
I want a Victorian
Get
strongman.
Geordie with it.
Pete, if you took over Newcastle United, what would you do on your first day?
Sell Sean Longstaff to me.
Mark,
Actually, was that tweet yours?
I'd bring in Ben Arthur from the cold. He's on a free at the moment.
Get him back in there.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's a good shout.
yeah,
Ben Arthur.
it is very difficult to to think of an owner that you'd want at a club, isn't it?
There are
Because-
very few clubs that you can ethically, as a liberal, ethically
Quite.
support.
What about
And
the,
how many benevolent billionaires are there?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
James-
It's a very
James
They've all
Horncastle-
made their money by being nightmare men.
What about
Yeah,
the guy who
men.
runs Chechnya? Would you have him?
on OTC last week, James Horncastle was saying that he thinks that we might be getting into the era of the post-billionaire kind of era. Like football it's not going to be sustainable for that much longer for really wealthy people to come in and buy because of FFP and because of other bits and pieces politically and you know things like London or the UK tightening up on the Abramovich thing with the money and where it comes from and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, we might be seeing the death knell of that type of investment and takeover anyway.
Well, it's kind of like it's people come in because you don't make any money out of football unless you are Mike Ashley. You know, just like running it
I
on
think
gas.
Stan
and pulling
Kroenke
money out.
makes quite a bit of money.
Well,
out of
yeah, but I
football.
mean, like, if you come into Newcastle United, you're not necessarily going to make the money. But if you want a little pet project, if you want to again sit on your yacht and talk with the other people who own yachts about your Premier League team, you know, it's an investment. It's a spicy, expensive investment, but that's kind of how.
Pete, can I ask a semi-serious question about this and how it pertains to Rafa Benitez? Because Rafa Benitez has got just over a month before his contract runs out.
Yeah.
You don't think there's any chance that this has been leaked to try and take the attention away from that, from Mike Ashley's point of view?
Massively. B.
Yes,
anything to distract from that, and also just to give us another close season where they don't bother signing any players until the last 2 weeks of the transfer window, and then look at the difference between Solomon Rondon at the start of last season and the back end of last season, where
he gone
when
back
he had a
now?
little bit of time. Say again.
Has he gone back now?
Yeah,
was
he's
on
gone.
loan.
Yeah, so he's not.
They're not
going
gonna
to
sign him
Well,
permanently.
why sign him? He's only
No.
been improved.
He's only.
I mean, what's an
massively improved.
improvement among footballers?
And he's also improved other players around him. So
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the point?
Uh,
Oh,
Perez can go back to just absolutely floundering on the
yeah, exactly.
wing.
Do you think this could even be to just trick Benitez into signing an extension? But
If-
I won't
if
be around in.
If I was Benitez, I would not be signing anything until the day after the closing of the transfer window.
Yeah.
That would be the sensible way to do it.
Yeah.
All right then.
Well, he'll be out of a job by then.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a club that are better run. Manchester United. Or are they? Strange sounds surrounding the Matthias Delict interest, non-interest.
Could you make that sound? What?
Yeah.
Strange
Is that a
sound.
strange sound? Sort of a...
Yeah.
You just repeat what I did.
But better.
The whole
Home improvement.
Man
Jim, do you
United.
fancy it?
Man United.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Man United linking themselves with
Everyone.
Delict. Well, it seems a little bit like Moby linking himself with Natalie Portman earlier in the week, doesn't it? It's like, yeah.
Creepy,
Is this
creepy
the full
older
story?
club.
Is it? Do you remember when
creepy older
bothering?
club.
Was it Jerome Boateng when he was at Bayern? Well, he's still
He's at Bayern still.
he
Yeah,
is
yeah,
still
yeah.
at Bayern. Although
But,
his star has.
Uli Hoeneß came out, I think, yesterday or this morning, saying, speaking about Jerome Boateng as a friend, if it were me, I would probably move on. It's like, well, cheers, mate. Yeah, thanks.
Well, obviously, his star has waned somewhat after the World Cup and stuff. But he was a very, very good centre half. Still is, but he was a premium centre half not that long ago. And when Jose Mourinho and Manchester United were linked to him, did he not phone Mourinho and say, "Can you please stop
doing
this?"
Yeah.
I feel that Manchester United are going to have to do that
Well,
or
Sancho-
get that kind of phone call.
Jadon Sancho, through his people, kind of did a similar thing. With United as
You
well.
said last week.
But the Delict story that came out, I saw something in the Manchester Evening News. It's a quote from Delict. The only quote I can find at all, really, that would link him in some abstract way to Man United.
Yeah,
Because he's represented by Mino Raiola now.
obviously.
Yeah,
It's either him or Mendes.
Yeah, he said, where do I see myself? Well, obviously the Premier League is a big competition, and so is Spain. But it's not just about those two. So he's mentioned the Premier League there, and Man United just stuck their hand up and go, yeah, we're in the Premier League.
We've won that loads.
Yeah,
Do you know what happens
ages
now?
ago.
You've got an interest from Manchester. Oh, yeah, I'd love to talk to them.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
Which one?
Manchester United. Nah.
Yeah. Oh, it rains a lot. But hang
Yeah.
on, you didn't mind. Yeah, no, it rains a lot.
Yeah. Will Delict sign for Man United? Nah.
Well, then Manchester United ruled out signing him, and I thought to myself, well, yes, I'm sure Fulham can rule themselves out signing him. You know, everybody, lots of clubs.
But
can
it's,
do that.
it's almost like with United, it's kind of a bit. I don't know if demeaning is too strong a word, because clearly Delict is a brilliant player. He's an amazing prospect, and he could easily go on to become one of the best defenders of world football. And I think we'd all agree on that.
Yeah.
But the situation United have been through with Pogba, also represented by Raiola, do you feel a little bit there's a bit of trepidation there about whether they would want to put themselves through that again with De Ligt, with Raiola in the picture, because he's going to drive a really hard bargain. He's going to ask for loads of money. The amount of wages talking about for De Ligt, because clearly they need to hijack this deal that Barcelona are trying to put in place.
And also they've got
it's staggering.
Well, they've got the Sanchez precedent as well. With the amount of money they're paying him, obviously he came in, on a swap deal, so it's a little bit different. But they are it's such an odd situation in terms of their identity at the moment, as we've said so many times. Because if you are Man United, you feel like you're Man United. You should be going for those sort of players. But at the same time, you're in the Europa League, and you haven't won the league in a long time, and there's a lot of uncertainty around the manager who came in after a lot of uncertainty around the manager.
Yeah,
and it's just they're
do it
in
again.
This weird cycle.
You can do it again.
Well, because Mourinho came in after some uncertainty about the manager, and we could go on.
To me, this smacks of the deal's going to be done with Barcelona. Raiola represents De Ligt. Raiola and De Ligt want the best deal. Obviously, it's not. It wouldn't be a huge surprise, would it, if Raiola chucked that out there? So Barcelona went, oh, hang on a minute, we better move here because we might miss out.
I think it serves both parties, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It elevates Manchester United to a position that they're not in their league
They're now doing a West Ham under Golden Sullivan of a couple of years ago.
Massively.
Oh, we tried to get the original Ronaldo, but he didn't want to come. But we are in the market for these kind of players. Will you please just believe us?
Just one of you come here.
Yeah.
How many strikers do we have to sign before you think we can sign every striker?
Well, talking of defenders, Sergio Ramos might be available.
Yeah, I heard this one.
Although he does, I suppose the spanner in the works, you could say, is an £800 million release clause.
It's a big spanner.
I think they might waive that.
I think they might. The reports say Zidane is trying to talk him into staying. I don't know whether that's...
it's coming from Ramos that he wants to go.
Well, there is talk, but again, is Zidane talking him into staying, or is he trying to use reverse psychology? I don't know, but there is some sort of situation going on there with Ramos and Real Madrid, because it is mad there at the moment, as it tends to be.
So apparently they bust up with Perez after the Champions League exit.
He's been at odds with Perez for a little while.
And there has also been some other talk, hasn't there, that he's been there 14 years now.
He's 33 years old.
Yeah. I still think he'd be a great acquisition.
I would love him anywhere in the Premier League, and I think we all would, right?
Damn right.
Were we not talking on this? We were either talking on this show or on the continent a few weeks ago. Marcus, you were definitely in the conversation where we said United. I'll tell you what it was. It was with Diego Godin.
Yes,
it's exactly the kind of thing that Man United need to sign.
Honestly,
this kind of experienced, very well versed defender who could just build the whole defence around him and drag him along with him. And say, look, come on, for God's sake, this is what we need to do.
I completely agree. If I was a manager, I'd love a Sergio Ramos on my side. He's a winner. He's a serial winner. We know this.
You don't want to actually have him in your side because he will give you a dig.
Would you have any reservations at his age and his experience? And he's got a lot of miles on the clock about dealing with the pace of the Premier League.
I would. Yeah. But I would also think it's a risk worth taking.
I agree. Unless he was like silly.
He looks to me like an athlete.
He's never going to be silly money, is he? He's never going to be ridiculous.
Well, it depends. I mean, it's
Van
a
Dijk
huge
money.
Well, no, you wouldn't have thought so. They'd be mad to sign him for that kind of
800 million, mate. That's the price. Take it or leave it. You get 2 Newcastles for that.
That's
but I still take Ramos
and
a pair of socks. Pair of Sports Direct socks.
I do. Manchester United. There's talk that they might go big and try and sign Antoine Griezmann. Again, that seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it does seem unlikely. But we mentioned there about the identity, and it's all a bit funny with Manchester United now, and it's been like that for a few years, or so on and so forth. But Old Trafford saw a reunion game recently of Manchester United versus Bayern Munich from 1999, and Sir Alex in the dugout saw some of the players, and if you're a Man United fan, you must have just weeped through that whole thing.
Yeah, it was an incredible nostalgia fest, wasn't it? Even for somebody who doesn't support Man United.
Seeing Sir Alex take the team out of tunnel was amazing.
Massive. Yeah. I love these.
You're all over this.
I love old masters doing this.
You love Soccer Aid as well,
don't
you?
I love Soccer Aid. I love the Saturday morning Sky TV shows where footballers and comedians stuff have a whack the ball into the net and stuff. I love anything like this because I love novelty. But watching this, I was a bit like, this is indicative of a wider problem. This is
a couple of things for me. Solskjaer scored a goal, which is almost like it's really hard to process that when he's the current man. if he had just come to United for that and done that, you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, I love him.
Yeah.
And now you feel sorry for him because of the
Stop
size of
thinking
job he's
about
got,
it,
and
yeah.
you don't begrudge him that little bit of joy.
But
there.
he did poach it, and it was so like it,
Yeah.
it was pure nostalgia.
But to tell you who's the big story here,
Oh yeah,
Beckham.
Oh my,
Oh my
goodness.
god, he still looks good, doesn't he?
I thought to myself, I know you can watch these games and you go, oh, he can still do a job, and you get sort of caught up with it. But David bloody Beckham.
But he was
There
making
i-
those runs
I'm
with
telling
more
you,
pace than I remember him ever having.
there is
Yeah.
a space for him in a lot of professional football
Yeah.
teams still left.
The thing with David Beckham
He
is,
looked the business.
How
thing
far
that-
away is he from the plane?
Oh my goodness. I love that man and his footballing career. And what I love about seeing Beckham on the pitch again was you were reminded that, okay, yes, he has done a lot of modelling and he's done a lot of this, that and the other and whatnot, but it was his football career.
Yeah.
Like he was a brilliant player, and you can forget that sometimes with all the pomp and facade.
And he's never
around.
had any pace. So he's
No.
probably, certainly towards the end of his professional career, would have been used to being a bit cuter and a bit smarter with how he would play because he didn't have any pace.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's known has a devastating cross of the ball through his career without ever really beating a man and getting to the byline. He never needed to do that. And I know that the guy, whoever it was playing left back for Bayern Munich, I can't remember, gave him an acre of space every time he
Oh,
had
the
ball.
game was played at walking pace.
Probably on purpose. I mean, the passing was amazing. Like, it was so good to watch.
It
Like,
was.
He doesn't. And the other thing is, he doesn't look that old.
No.
You know, we'll
the
come
thing
on,
that
we'll
makes
come
him
on
look
to
old is his tattoos, weirdly.
basically, yeah.
Like, not his face or anything.
He looked. I mean, looking at. I'll tell you who I was surprised, and we'll come on to him in a bit. I'm sure Lee Bowyer looks old now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Beckham doesn't really look old. I mean,
You would think of all that aggression pumping through his veins.
Yeah.
That is going to
Yeah.
Beckham had a bit of aggression as well. You know.
He
Yeah.
did. But
Oh,
I
he
mean,
did.
He's a nasty little bugger
David Beckham
sometimes.
looks like he's enjoyed his life. Lee Bowyer has spent a lot of it scowling. That he's going to do something to
Well,
the shape of
the
his
difference,
face, isn't
the
it?
difference between someone of a certain age looking young, looking not young. Excuse me, I'm getting so emotional about this.
I mean, Beckham
it's
is
money. It's money. It's money.
well, no, it can be, but also Beckham
It's
is
money.
a good-looking bloke and has done a bit of modelling and whatnot. And
Yeah, but he's also lived
and
in
he
Hollywood and he's
moisturises-
money as hell.
moisturises probably.
Yeah.
he does
Does all
pretty
that.
moisturise, yeah.
Peter, you enjoyed Peter Schmeichel.
I did enjoy it. Again, someone who looks very, very young. Oh God,
He does
very,
enjoy
very young.
this.
No, but he didn't look unlike how he ended his career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I thought he's like 55 now,
Mm.
and
55?
and he looked very young.
He has a sort
because-
of Star Wars creature quality to him, though, doesn't he?
What do you mean?
So
I
here's-
know what you
Sort
mean.
of general kind of fuzziness and
Yeah, I know what you
presence
mean.
and massiveness.
His last game for United was the '99 Champions League
That's
final,
right.
which was a long time
Easy
ago
to
now.
forget that, isn't it?
Yeah, a long time ago now.
He did.
It was a great affair anyway.
Oh, it was.
I'd
indeed.
rather watch that than watch half the Premier League games I've seen this
Would you
year.
rather watch
Yeah.
that than the Europa League final?
Close.
Get back to me on
I
that.
still feel like the Europa League final's about a month away. We've
Uh,
been waiting
well,
so long for it.
Well, if you're travelling there, then it could take a while. But Chelsea obviously play Arsenal. Now, what about this? If reports are to be believed, then Maurizio Sarri has agreed to take over Juventus next season. I'm sure we'll talk about that on the continent.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one, and I don't know whether this is related or not, Chelsea fans. But Big Weng said he's ready to come back to football. He's unsure if it will be as a manager.
What's he going to do? Play?
Imagine that if he
Imagine that. Yeah, just
Wenger
ball
became the
boy.
Chelsea manager.
I
next
think
season.
I think those I've seen those reports and they're in the Sun and the Daily Mail, so I think they're probably not to be believed.
Hey, wait a
Um,
second. That's what the Mike Ashley takeover was. Kevin. Oh no.
And Big Weng's being linked with Vissel Kobe, which
Oh,
is where
nice.
Iniesta, Villa, and Podolski
Nice.
are as well. So that'd be
And the
that'd be
beef.
fun.
Get him back in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
I,
be
I would,
alright.
I would have a bit of regret just as an English-based football fan if Sarri were to go to Juventus now.
Yes.
Purely because I think it would be good. He only had 13 or 14 days of pre-season with Chelsea last season, and I've been critical of him as a lot of people have.
I was gonna say, you've changed your tune a
No,
lot.
no, I'm not. I'm not actually changing my tune. I'm saying that with respect. With retrospect, he's had a good season and he's done well. I'd be fascinated to see if his system can work to a far greater extent. Next season because he's had a year under his belt. He'll have a full pre-season. He might even get a couple of players back from loan that he can perhaps use because obviously they can't sign anyone. And I would prefer to see him have another year in the Premier League just because I'm interested in how he likes to do things.
Your tone has softened on Sarri without a doubt.
But
People
I would-
do get softened in their old age.
Yeah. I would say though, I think because looking back on the season, even if they don't win the Europa League, which I profoundly hope they don't, getting to two finals, whatever happens in them, and finishing third, that is a good showing with the
Yep.
insane quality of Liverpool
Yep.
and Man City this year. And I feel if Sarri went to Juventus now, there'd be a sense that he was hounded out.
I know
by
what
the
you
English
mean.
press
Agreed.
and by fans sort of getting on board with that, because it's sort of they're being poked constantly by it, and that would be a very sad thing to see.
Sure, but he may not be hounded out, as you say, because actually, if Sarri has been offered this job, he's offered a bigger club. Let's be honest, in Juventus, a club which is pretty much guaranteed to win him a trophy, which
In
I
his
think
home
is-
country as well.
In his home country, which has eluded him. The money could be similar or even more. So actually, a better offer has come along. But I do take the point. What
He's
you're
not
saying.
enjoyed his time, has he? He's hacked off with the press, hacked off with the fans. It's just
Yeah. Well, they are playing Arsenal in the Europa League final. There's a chance for him to
And
win that there.
is
Although
N'Golo Kante out of injury. now,
apparently
isn't
he is, yeah.
It's a
Which
shame.
with Loftus-Cheek, you'd expect him to go with Jorginho, Kovacic, and Barkley in the centre.
I'm
Sorry,
sad
is-
that
is-
Loftus-Cheek got injured as well.
Is Kante out because he's injured or because he's banned from the country because of his nationality? Which one is it?
It's either
I
one of
can't
those two
remember.
things. Yeah, it's difficult to tell.
I think
sometimes.
French people are okay
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
there. And speaking of which, Laurent Koscielny could be leaving Arsenal this summer.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I've seen talk of that.
That'll
The
leave
thing
a
is,
gap at the back.
It certainly will. But the thing with Koscielny is he is an absolute warhorse at this point, and he can't play every week, and he's had a lot of bad injuries, and on top of the nasty injury he had at the tail end of last season, he has a chronic, I think, calf injury that he'll have throughout his life and always have to manage. And
Right.
he is, he's an incredible servant to Arsenal, and I wondered if he might retire actually, because
He's been linked with Monaco.
You can see him playing through pain at times, even
yeah, that'd be
even
nice.
when being managed.
Little swan song in Monaco.
He's been linked with Monaco.
Mm.
I think a short-term deal with Monaco, which maybe he'll fill because they've had a poor season. I think they need
Yeah.
someone with experience there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Whether he will or not, I don't know.
I don't know how I feel about it. I would like to see him. I would love to see him stay, but on the proviso that other players come in. But the problem is, if Koscielny goes as well, obviously there's a lot of talk that Mustafi will be moved on. You're then replacing two centre backs.
But Jim, is there a conversation to be had around Arsenal their inability to hold on to? I mean, because if you take 15, 20 years of Arsenal, they've had a lot of iconic moments, a lot of iconic players, a lot of trophies. Really, not a lot, but a good amount of trophies. There doesn't appear to be anywhere near enough ambassadorial players who stick around in different roles at Arsenal.
Well,
and
Freddie
do
Ljungberg's
things-
there at the moment.
Is he
Robert Pires
is he doing a
around the
football?
club.
Is he doing? Are they doing footballing roles?
Yeah,
there, are
yeah,
they?
yeah. He's
Okay.
Freddie Ljungberg is in charge of the youth team, I believe. So yeah, I know what you mean. They don't necessarily use their ex-players well. There's a lot of talk of Dennis Bergkamp and Mark Overmars that's coming along, and Edu's obviously potentially coming in as technical director. So there is a little bit of that.
Get a
But it doesn't
Boué
always
man.
work, does it?
Get a Boué man back.
Well, there's an example. Like if you
Yeah.
got him just because he was
Half-time
one of the
show.
greatest players we've ever had,
yeah.
then it's not going to necessarily work in a footballing sense, is it?
All right.
The only one I
fair
could see in the reason I asked this because earlier I was checking, and the only one I could see in the footballing staff who was an ex-player of some note is, of course, Steve Bald. That's the only one I could find, and surely it would be beneficial for them to have these players around. I mean, obviously, Man United are looking at doing this as well, aren't they? It just seems a bit of a shame because you have all these iconic, proper world-level players: Bergkamp, Henry, all these other guys.
When you say Man United are looking at doing that, I think they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mr. Solskjaer in charge.
No, but I mean, there was talk last week that they were going to put together some kind of
Rio
transfer
Ferdinand.
panel. And Rio Ferdinand was linked with it, wasn't he? And, so
Yeah, not always a good idea.
Ljungberg's head coach of the under-23s. Just to clarify
okay, fine.
But still, I know what you're saying. But at the same
They
time,
go to Man City. That's the problem.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
But I mean, is there an argument that is perhaps a very emotionally led way of trying to put a structure in place? Obviously, Arsenal have problems with that at the moment.
It
but-
can go either way. I mean, clearly places like Milan and Bayern Munich, it's worked well in the past, hasn't it? But sometimes you're right. You can hark back to it too much and you get yourself in trouble. So that's a fair point.